I'm here today with Richard Teng from Abu Dhabi. Richard, can you tell us a little bit about yourself before we begin with the interview?
Thank you. Thanks for having me. I'm Richard Teng, CEO of Financial Services Regulatory Authority at Abu Dhabi Global Market, which is one of the newest international financial in town and the fastest growing at that.
Despite the current global challenges, Richard, what has been going on in the Abu Dhabi fintech landscape this year, and specifically with Abu Dhabi Global Market, or commonly known as ADGM?
We continue to drive the agenda. I do think the COVID situation has compressed the timeline for digital deployment and adoption, which are key beneficiary. And you see a huge uptick in terms of technology adoption, in terms of fintech deployment, which are really necessary. Because if you look at a lockdown situation, there are no way to deploy products and services, deliver those products and services, other than via digital mode and means, right? Even on onboarding basis. How do you do KYC? How do you do loan assessment, credit assessment? A lot of them have to be digital. And this crisis has shown up that despite what many financial institutions say in terms of their digital journey, how advanced they have been caught up quite short. So instead of relying on in-house solutioning, I think most are turning to external solutions to shorten the timeline in terms of rolling out digital format.
Excellent.
So we are key beneficiaries of that. If you look at what we have achieved, and we are a very young international center. We are 5 years old next month. And we started from a position of disadvantage of not having any track record, not having any regulatory MOUs with fellow regulators, not having any brand name recognition globally. But we quite quickly turned those into advantage of no legacy issues, of being able to reimagine the future in terms of how financial services should be, and rethink what are the critical parts of the ecosystem that needs enhancement to bring about greater financial intermediation in the region. I think our growth story, our trajectory has demonstrated our success in the short 5 years. We have won multiple awards by now. I think 4 times for the past 4 years, we have won Best Financial Center for the Middle East and Africa region. We won 2 times, this year the second time, the Best International Financial Center in EMEA region. And our track record in innovation and how we support fintech are testament to what we have done so far.
Excellent. Congratulations, by the way. Did you ever imagine, as you mentioned, the 5-year anniversary, that from when ADGM was founded 5 years ago, back in 2015, it would actually get to this position as it is now? I mean, what have been some of those successes from the journey that when you guys were founded, Richard?
So there are multiple successes. I would just first focus on fintech, and then we can go to other areas if you wish.
Yeah, of course.
So first in the region to really champion fintech. We started talking about fintech when this word is not commonly known or heard in this region. We rolled the first regulatory sandbox in the Middle East Africa region, and by now is a hugely successful program attracting international participants. It's the second most active regulatory sandbox globally. And we have since moved from strength to strength in terms of experimentation and innovation, both with fellow regulators, like regulators from the States, Australia, Singapore, as well as with the industry. And along the way, we have created the widest offering of digital financial services license. If not globally, then at least in the region. So our digital financial services license range from digital banking to digital payment services, to digital asset exchanges, to digital securities offering. We issue our advisory on and framework on robot advisory as well, private financing platform. We created the first calibrated venture capital manager framework for the region. And that has attracted robust interest because of the huge interest that we're seeing both before and after COVID.
Yeah.
We deploy reg bots to help applicants fill in application forms to shorten their timeline in terms of marketplace. And many of these venture capital managers realize the huge potential of Africa, South Asia. And they are using ADGM as a hub for their investment into a region. Right? So we're looking at the whole ecosystem. It's not our efforts alone. We are working very closely with Abu Dhabi Inc., Mubadala, Abu Dhabi Investment Office, ADQ, BED, and many others to create a very conducive environment, not only from a regulatory angle, but also from a startup funding ecosystem building. So we are creating that very vibrant hub. Hub 71 is a very important endeavor that is jointly supported by Mubadala, Microsoft, SoftBank, Abu Dhabi Investment Office, and ourselves. And that has created a very vibrant startup ecosystem for startup.
Excellent. And similar to the points you've addressed, I mean, in your role as a CEO, as well as on a personal level, Richard, how have you seen Abu Dhabi as a city, as an emirate, grow alongside ADGM in the 5 years that ADGM has started? Have you seen the same kind of growth happening in Abu Dhabi as a whole?
Absolutely. So when I mentioned during the beginning of our 5 years journey, we are not the first financial institution. There are many other financial institutions. Yeah. So we are the new kid on the block. But when we start looking at the entire ecosystem, we realize that there are gaps. And because of those gaps, financial intermediaries have been exported. Financial services are exported to other regions, such as Europe, London, Singapore, to be conducted elsewhere in the world. Yeah. But it's very important for the betterment of this region. The financial services get the importance and the issue that we're looking at is how do we create a well-rounded, a complete ecosystem to support that, not only from a rules and regulatory front, but from an ecosystem angle. So we went about in a very, very deliberate fashion. For instance, I can give you a few examples. We had Middle East is an excellent place to come to raise funds. Yeah. But we are quite developed into a premier destination for listing, for product trading. Mm-hmm. We have 3 of the largest commercial airlines in the world, but we have not developed into an aviation finance hub. Yeah. So there are gaps within the ecosystem, and we went about in a very deliberate fashion to bring about a complete ecosystem. Same for Fintech. Fintech may be going by other names beforehand, but no one has really looked at how do you develop a complete ecosystem with regulators supporting in terms of rules, regulation framework, with the institutional investors and sovereign wealth funds in investing into that. So Mubadala has come out with Catalyst Funds, has come out with Mubadala Tech Funds, ADQ has come out with ADQ Tech Wave Funds, and Abu Dhabi Investment Office with Garden Ventures. So all those are providing funding into that critical funding ecosystem. We have MENA Fintech Association now set up in ADGM, really providing that community for both startups or venture capital to come together to support the agenda on fintech. We host the largest gathering of fintech in the region. So this year we host the 4th Fintech Abu Dhabi Summit, Fintech Abu Dhabi Festival, we call it. It's a 3-day event from 24th to 26th. Last year, we had more than 5,000 participants, more than 130 speakers, close to 20 unicorns around the world attending. And this year, we're very fortunate that UAE Central Bank will be co-hosting this event together with us to really drive the agenda of fintech in the region. So this year is going to be a much bigger event in terms of participation compared to last year. It's the largest fintech gathering. And we have several components to that, including the first day, which is the Founders Day, where we sort of do matchmaking between fintech firms with sources of funds, be it angel, VCs, private equity, sovereign, institutional funds. Second and third day, we have our Fintech 100, where we bring the top Fintech 100 firms around the world here. We have our Innovation Challenge, where we have fintech working alongside corporate champions such as the banks in Middle East to solve their problems We have exciting lineup of speakers, and ourselves and the central bank have many initiatives that we're going to announce, exciting initiatives that we're going to announce during the Fintech Festival. So do join us 24th to 26th November. And we are going to, I mentioned that we have a very successful regulatory sandbox. We are moving that regulatory sandbox from the analog mode to a digital format. So we are going to have the first digital regulatory sandbox in the world that can cater to fintechs around the world globally that can be onboarded onto the platform, working alongside financial institutions, financial services providers to innovate, to experiment. Is API enabled, so you facilitate integration with financial institutions. System is on cloud, and it has synthetic data for testing purposes. It has regulators like ourselves and the central bank working alongside with these firms to really support them in terms of their innovation. And it will really bring about a different dimension in terms of allowing them to work much closer together, allowing financial institutions to source for solutions on a much faster basis and to integrate it within their own system. So we are very excited with that. We're going to launch it during the Fintech Abu Dhabi Festival.
Excellent. And what differentiates ADGM from other regional hubs? I mean, you've highlighted a bit of innovation happening in ADGM, but what differentiates ADGM from other regional hubs? And what attracts, in your opinion, the talent and investment to Abu Dhabi and specifically ADGM?
I think there are many differentiating factors. I think the first and key differentiating factor is Abu Dhabi. We are blessed to have very strong value proposition. It's one of the best to conduct business in the region with strong connectivity, with an excellent business environment, with great lifestyle. All those aside, ADGM itself, I think, proven itself to be the most innovative regulator in the region. So the DNA is one of innovation. The DNA and the ethos is really working very closely with the industry to understand their needs and to support financial intermediation. So I mentioned this at the start. We are really looking at how to help financial services being anchored in the region instead of allowing them to be exported. So unlike many other financial centers for us, I think we have been focusing on that. Really, how do you help aviation financing to be anchored here for the betterment of this? And as a result, I think we have seen our aviation financing sector take off here. We are looking at areas of how do we help sustainable finance. We have many good projects, Mazda amongst them, to be anchored here in terms of both their financing needs, meeting the investor needs as well as the needs of the financial institutions. So we have now Citibank, BNP Paribas, and the rest of the financial institutions here really driving sustainable financing for the likes of the first green real estate investment trust that's been launched here. So we are along the different pillars working alongside not only with the government, with the funders, with the financial institutions, with the asset owners, to really bring about solutions for them for the betterment of this. And the more we do it, the more critical mass that we have built, the more traction we have. It's going to benefit not only ourselves, but the region, because people realize that all these activities can be conducted here. Intercontinental Exchange, the largest exchange of the world, has now partnered ADNOC to launch ICE Abu Dhabi futures. ICE Abu Dhabi exchange to trade Melbourne contracts. This wouldn't be possible in the past without a platform. So all these things, we are bringing all the financial transactions and services that should have been here, but will not be able to conduct from Abu Dhabi and the region because there's a lack of a proper international jurisdiction where the rules are aligned to international standards, practicing on the basis of a common law, giving certainty, and extremely innovative, pushing ahead with the innovation agenda allowing all these activities that today we are the first to cater to, for instance, digital asset exchanges in both the crypto and digital world. We have rolled out the most comprehensive regime. It's pretty strict, and it's strict for a reason. It is strict in the sense that we want to make sure that investors' interests are properly safeguarded. We want to make sure that this particular area is developed in a sustainable fashion, right? And the only way to do that is to gain the trust of both retail, sophisticated, as well as institutional investors. And institutional investors wouldn't participate in this space if you don't do AML KYC risk properly, you don't cover the risk of custody. If the coins are lost or stolen on a regular basis, it doesn't instill confidence. If you don't make sure that the exchange operations are properly regulated. In terms of technology governance risks, those are being addressed. So we address all those risks. When we first launched it, it was really the gold standard, and it still remains as the gold standard. But international regulators now have realized the need to have proper mechanism to address all these risks. And now there's a gravitation towards our standards globally. So we are quite happy to continue to push the agenda to both support innovation, but to allow for proper sustainable business to be conducted from ADGM, even if we are the first to do it. And we are quite proud to continue with that innovation agenda.
Excellent. And my final question, Richard, is, where do you see ADGM in 5 years when you guys celebrate your 10-year anniversary and beyond that?
ADGM now is the fastest growing international financial center in this part of town. If you look at the number of venture capital managers coming through, I would say that we have the most of any other centers in the region. Again, we continue to grow at a very rapid. In another 5 years' time, we will continue to grow in critical mass. I'm sure we continue to win accolades along the way. And I'm sure both the investing community, the financial institutions, the corporate, will find that ADGM is the most ideal place for them to hub their operations to serve a fast-growing Middle East, Africa, and South Asia. We do have a China office, and we are seeing strong flows from Asia Pacific. We are seeing strong flows from Europe and US as well. And that's really what we're trying to do, is to bring the world here, to make the world realize that, look, this is a fast-growing region in terms of young adults coming into the workplace over the next decade from Middle East, Africa region. It's going to surpass the young adults coming into the workplace in China. So you can imagine the huge potential in this region. And how do we help all these firms harness that potential and opportunity is one of the missions that we have.
Excellent. Well, Richard, thank you so much for speaking to us at the Fintech Times. And we're looking forward to seeing many things from Abu Dhabi Global Market in the future.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.